Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a couple headlines for you. ETHGate, true or false? We're going to get into that today because we need to. It's getting bigger. And by the way, XRP, that may be getting bigger too. One analyst says XRP is about to melt faces. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Dig Perspectives at Twitter, right here at the top of the screen. It is $2.127 trillion market cap. It's nice to be over $2 trillion, but it is not our high. $3 trillion plus is where we've been for a market cap for crypto. We'll see if we can get back there before the end of this summer, I'm hoping. Look here, right now, it's March 30th, 2022. We're off by 1.77%. Bitcoin just over 47,000 right now. Ethereum 3,300 plus. We see both of those above 10% on the 7-day. XRP is 85 cents, a little over 2% or almost 3% on the 7-day. The range of price is 85 cents on the bottom, 87 cents on the top. I believe, because I'm a fundamentals guy and I love getting information from the technical analysts, for which we are going to do today, and it looks to be pretty explosive in the near term, potentially. We're going to take a look at that. But I tell you, I do believe that when this case is over and we have some regulatory clarity via the Treasury and hopefully some loose framework that doesn't stifle innovation, if Congress can get it done without messing it up. And I do believe at some point they will get it right. However, they got to pinball their way to it. I do believe that when we hit that moment, we are going to find out that XRP is probably going to be the most compliant and regulated digital asset in the digital asset space. Now, we'll see. And I'll make the video if I'm wrong. But let's start right here, ladies and gentlemen, because Link2 just had an incredible record-breaking growth yesterday, and it was for new users. Over 1,000 is what we're looking at here. And this is a reminder, by the way, because not only can you get Ripple there, you can actually get Link2 private equity at link2.com. And by the way, remember, they are the pre-unicorn company, which I believe will be a unicorn very soon, just as Nick Burafedo does, that bring all of us the world's best unicorns. Make sure you check them out. Take a look. We start right here. It's Ethereum. Know what you hold, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's popular. I know it goes up in price. But do you want to be the one that's holding it when everybody else gets exhausted at using $58 transaction fees? I know I don't. I'm not trying to talk you out of anything, and I'm certainly not selling a used car. I just want you to have the facts. Speaking of facts, the UK's FCA, Financial Conduct Authority, extends crypto registration deadline for 12 firms, and this includes an extension our digital bank Revolut and crypto brokerage services provider Copper Technologies. Now remember, not long ago, Uphold just had I believe it was a registration with the FCA. If I'm not mistaken, it was something to that nature that put them in a very, very special group. Uphold is on Link2 also. Wink, wink. Speaking of wink, wink right here, Russia and India to discuss swift alternative to ruble payments. I tell you, you look at all the fallout here from the SWIFT sanctions, and I just read somewhere this morning, and I was going to pull it and I didn't, but I believe it was Jim Rickards, the Economist Gold Bug book author, really, really insightful man, just told us that the ruble had bounced back in its value from the huge drop that it had from the Russian invasion in the early onset of that. You have to wonder, because we're all connected financially through the central banking system and supply and trade and all of those things. You have to wonder, who are these sanctions really hurting? Because it doesn't look like Russia is backing out at this point. It looks like what they're doing right here is they're continuing to make new arrangements to not feel the effects of the SWIFT sanctions. This is Senator Loomis, Cynthia Loomis right here, just described Bitcoin as a security too. Watch this and let's chat.
When we've got a screen up, you probably can't see. We got Bitcoin, we have Ether, We have Dogecoin at the bottom. There's another Shiba Inu there. The two of those are worth $80 billion. I mean, I know that you probably think that Bitcoin is here to stay. Do you think all of these different crypto assets are real and here to stay, or is there something to be concerned with? And do we need oversight so that people aren't left holding the bag for some of these things, whether they do or not? I'm not predicting one way or another.
I do think that Bitcoin is here to stay, and I think a lot of the others are not. The fact that Bitcoin is fully decentralized and that some of these others were issued by a person or an entity that kept a large block of the coin for themselves.
Isn't that exactly what Satoshi Nakamoto did? There's millions or 1 million Bitcoin or whatever it is. It's some huge number. I think it's 1 million Bitcoin in the Satoshi's wallet. This is the kind of mindless talk that comes from government that I just can't stand. She doesn't even realize that she's just created a definition for which Bitcoin falls into, for which she feels will be here forever. And no one even knows who the hell Satoshi Nakamoto is. We should all be a little frightened this morning. It is not going to stop there. Then there's the problem with the sustainability and scalability of proof of work in Bitcoin. Listen to what Quincy Jones says right here. Take a listen. Quincy Jones, by the way, a brilliant young man, works with XDC, a developer, understands every different kind of concept of proof of work, proof of stake. I've interviewed him here on the channel. You can pull his interviews up. Extremely brilliant young man. Shout out to you, Quincy.
Well, this is something people need to take into consideration when they look at proof of work systems, because this is sort of where I came down the rabbit hole of this problem. And I was sort of like dumbfounded that you could mine Bitcoin back in 2010, no problem, made a couple Bitcoin and be incredibly wealthy right now. But if you wanted to mine Bitcoin right now, you would need a ever increasingly larger and larger processing unit to do so. And it just asked me the question of, well, at what point does it stop scaling upward and it levels off to be able to plateau to be able to run a network?
And it doesn't. But take a listen to this clip really quickly here.
Scaling problem that create all these other bubble problems out from it. And there is no people like to say that there's a solution in the Lightning Network and some other stuff too. And it's one of those things where the best way I could describe it is, imagine having your uncle, right? And he's got his old Chevy truck from the 80s that he loves so much. And he's like, look, whatever you have to say about it, we could just make it new. We could update it. And to yourself, no, there's no amount of anything you can put on that truck that's going to make it run like a new Prius. I'm sorry. You could put a Prius engine in there and it'll still run like a freaking truck. And that's essentially where Bitcoin is. Bitcoin's in a position where the fundamental architecture of how it was built out, and it's kind of funny too, because I actually have my own suspicions that whoever built Bitcoin knew this problem. And I think they launched it out there because they have a better system already, because if you wanted to say Satoshi Nakamoto was so smart to create the Bitcoin network, you can honestly, you can't say that he wasn't smart enough to realize the scaling problem in the math of the system he created. You could write out the problem on the math of a napkin and find out how much power it would take over so many people using the network, solely based off the amount of people that use the network the first year and how.
That's incredible. And he goes on and on to just really just destroy the idea of the scalability of Bitcoin and the problems that it has. And shout out to you, Quincy, for such insights and sharing them with us all. This right here keys up the point of ETHGate, true or false. Charles Gasparino, shout out to you. Interesting thread here for the XRP community. He says, my two cents as a dumb reporter watching the regulatory fallout. He says, SEC loves to set limits. The government wants crypto reined in and controlled. It found a target, albeit an imperfect one, in the XRP sales to go after Ripple. Now, with that being said, then we have the one who has self-anointed himself as the supreme leader of the XRP army. Oh, BitBoy, I'm a fan. You know, I am. I do like you, BitBoy, but this is just, it's either uninformed, you haven't done the work, or it's because you hold so much ETH, which you probably shouldn't have shared publicly. And now it looks like you're either trying to cover up for your own investment, or you just haven't bothered to do your due diligence on what ETHGate actually is. But that's okay. We're all working together here. The NASDAQ article, ETHGate, which we covered just a week or so ago when it came out, is a great article. And by the way, ETHGate and the Ethereum scandal is bigger than Enron. And we're going to walk through it very quickly right now, because he says nothing about these allegations of ETHGate have been proven. And that couldn't be further from the truth, Ben. And if you've just done just a little bit of due diligence or bothered to have John Deaton on your show, you know that every one of these facts, no one from the Ethereum community, and I encourage you to do so too, I really do, try and dispute any one of these facts. I triple dog dare you. And have John Deaton on the show. Don't even have me on there. I'm willing to come on there and have a conversation to show you, because I think that you're a decent, reasonable human being. I just believe you haven't, in this case, probably done the work here. According to the theory, it's a theory now. It's not a theory, Ben. It's facts. Every one of these are facts. And if you'd like to discuss them further, I am willing to do it on my show or yours if you would prefer. It's up to you. However, going through this is not a theory. He says it's a conspiracy theory that a small pool of early Ethereum insiders paid off SEC officials to look the other way. The ICO was more centralized than it appeared due to intentionally confusing web of wallet addresses. But intentionally confusing, it is. Watch the Joseph Lubin video where he explains how to disguise your identity and create multiple fake accounts, Ben. That's not a theory. Joseph Lubin said it out of his crooked ass mouth, right? So we're getting a little tired of everybody being so dismissive here, Ben. This is actually out of line, to be perfectly honest. So according to the facts, it's not a theory. Only a few people actually invested in Ethereum, and the foundation manipulated the public to believe in the individuals. But wait, this is where Ben comes in and tells you that it is a theory, and here's how he knows why, right? He says, I know people who invested in the ICO, a lot of people, like IRL. He says, so the question is, if I know some people who bought it, where was the cover up? So 5, 10 people, is that equate a decentralized network, Ben? This is so short-sighted. I'm very disappointed, honestly, and I hate for that to sound so condescending, Ben, but I mean, you can do a lot better, right? Because 4 or 5 of your buddies that got it too, and all of a sudden that makes Ethereum decentralized. I'd ask you to write it down so you could read it later and then understand how stupid I know it is today, but you've already written it down. So this is horrible, Ben. This is very bad right here. While I certainly love a good conspiracy, and I do too, Ben, but the reality is facts are facts. Get John Deaton on your show and really re-educate yourself and your audience, because, look, we owe it. As a responsible, person who's out here doing education and news, you really should dig down a little deeper into this. SEC has unfairly targeted Ripple Labs. There's no question about that. And he says, but the short term, if you didn't sell during that time, it didn't even really matter. Wouldn't you want the project you're invested in to remain profitable so they can achieve everything they have promised? But the optics of the admission were very bad. Listen, then he goes on to say here, which is really not accurate either. He talks about the fact that Ethereum really is going to help on the case. So he says here, even if we're true, there's no, which one is it here? Let me get this right. I want to read it to you. So here, Ethereum is not the enemy. Your anger is misplaced via conspiracy theory without proof, he says, which is inaccurate. And even if it were true, there is no path for the SEC to bring a case against Ethereum, which is also inaccurate. There isn't an American company behind it like Ripple is behind XRP. Basically, Ripple is much easier target than Ethereum. Now, I agree with that. After the botched XRP SEC case, no chance SEC goes after Ethereum, he says. You're dreaming if you think that's true. Maybe so, but that isn't because there isn't a case there. It's because the corruption is so damn deep. There's a much bigger glaring problem with Stellar and ETH, says the co-founder of Stellar would love nothing more than to see XRP falter. Father of lies, Jed McCaleb, loves nothing more than to watch XRP fight with Ethereum holders. He's sitting back laughing while probably assisting the SEC. Weird isn't this guy was responsible for the biggest hack in crypto history, co-founded Ripple, and somehow slithered out and even getting mentioned in a lawsuit. I certainly understand that. Now, he leaves Ripple and the co-founder goes on and he talks about where Jed McCaleb goes. The point is, he says, ETHGate to Ben is much ado about nothing, but honestly, it makes me feel like we are closer than ever to a settlement. He says the anger and frustration, which is very dismissive to say about us, with the SEC is at an all-time high, and in the next several months when the case ends, XRP goes to the moon, no, we'll be talking about this. That's quite possible, but it's also dismissive because he says that it's the best thing in the world that ETH got the free pass because it gives us a reason to fight the case. It gives Ripple an advantage in fighting the case. I tell you, this is so uninformed and so twisted. Ben, I do like your channel. I love your energy, and I really hope that you forget about me. I hope you contact John Deaton and have him on your show and sit down with him. He's a lawyer, and let him go through what we all know to be solid facts. They're undisputable. Check it out for yourself. Pinned at the top of my page. Or go watch this. BitBoy, I'm a fan. This is not a conspiracy theory. You should have John Deaton on your show to educate yourself and your audience before resigning to your own assumptions as facts. Ripple does not need Ethereum free pass to win this case. You watch this and tell me that it's a conspiracy theory of Joseph Lubin describing how to make fake identities and multiple accounts. That is obfuscating securities law, whether you like it or not, Ben. Now, here's something we all could like, and I think even Ben as well. And it is Coins Kid right here, talking about a prediction for XRP that could melt faces. Take a listen.
Golden trade, sorry. So right now, we created this little cup pattern, didn't we? Run into resistance, consistently closing above the 10 EMA here as we came up, creating ascending triangles, breaking out, falling back to support, running into resistance. But it's when we broke that high just there, and we started to close just there, boom, see you later, gone scare for XRP, okay? So remember that pattern just there. Look at that pattern, beautiful. Come up, you've got your low, you run into resistance, you called up like this, and you broke out basically. So let's move to the right and look at the current price action right now for XRP, okay? So again, you've got that key level resistance just there. Let me drop that in, and right now you created a very, very similar pattern here for XRP, where you've got this low, you run into resistance, and right now you're creating this sort of cup pattern, and where you're consistently closing above a 10 EMA, run into resistance. And again, we've got ascending triangles, like I said to you, break out, run into resistance, and hold that neckline as support, and the 10 EMA, and right now it's creeping up. You've got some kind of another ascending triangle here that's coiling up, looking for a break. Now, once XRP breaks that, just like it did last year, just here, look, are we about to go parabolic here for XRP? Over the next sort of week or so, everyone's expecting a big dump, aren't they, in Bitcoin and crypto and things like that. There is some kind of pivot date that's happening around about the 1st of April as well. So are we sort of going to explode here, okay, and go up? The first of the month is coming, the new quarter. Is XRP going to explode out of this level of resistance like it did here last April as well? I think, when was that? That was April the 5th that we actually exploded. So it's almost a year ago that XRP formed a very, very similar pattern here, holding the 10 EMA. Right here, we've got this 10 EMA and a cup pattern, this beautiful little arch. And right now, if XRP breaks out, are we looking at some kind of explosion here for XRP, just like we did last year? Just there, okay? So potentially April could start with a boom and a bang, couldn't it? I think April the 1st is on Friday, which is literally 2 days away. So, no guarantees, but let's keep an eye on this, because if XRP does start to explode, I would say you're in minimal targets. I'm going to show you right now. I do think that you could be looking at melting through the 1272, which would be amazing, and you will be looking at a minimal 1618 at $1.16. Now, let's take a look and see exactly where this went to. Okay, let's have a look at off this impulse impulsive wave. Look, just come down, you made that high, you retrace down here. So let's drop the fibs on it and see where exactly we went to on the fibs right there, that huge breakout. Well, you can see you ran into the 2.272 at 191. Okay, so that's a really overextended impulsive wave. You can see, look, you run into resistance, you actually melted through the 1618, you came back to its support originally, and then you lost it and you began a deeper retracement. Okay, so look, the 2.272 at 191 was met. Amazing. Okay, you didn't quite get to 2414, but at 2.272 it was an amazing target. Look at that, boom on the cent. Look at that, 191. So,
and real quick, I want to point out that you could see, if I could just go back here 1 second, I want to show you this. Notice where the EMAs cross right here. You see the yellow cross over the red, right? And then what do we have shortly after that explosion? The yellow crosses back underneath the red, it dips back down. Yellow crosses back over the red, it goes back up again. We see that touch, right? It holds, kind of capitulates a little bit. But then I want to show you here in just a second that what you're seeing is all of this looks like a repeat, just like what he's talking about from the information he's sharing. Just wanted to point that out as well. Take a look.
On the cent, look at that, 191. So again, I'm not saying it's going to 100% do that, but if we do sort of put in a very similar move out of this break,
a very similar move as he's saying right there, and check it out, just one more, the yellow is crossing back over top of the red EMA again. Something to note.
Here, like we did last year, just then we do break out and we start to come up and we absolutely melt faces here for XRP over the next week or so, when everyone's getting a little bit bearish at resistance, which I understand, you know, and potentially opening shorts as well, which I completely understand. If that's your thing, you want to open a short, so be it, but please use a very tight stop loss, the stop loss being this high, obviously. And then obviously if we do start to come up, you know, and mirror this sort of breakout last year where we went to 2.272 at 191, then you would be looking at a $1.49 XRP price tag just there. Look at that. That's the bare minimal, isn't it? If we sort of to mirror this sort of breakout here, which would be amazing, you know. So let's watch this space. We could open the month with an absolute banger here for XRP, an absolute.
And that's where we are on this day. I'd take $1.49 while we still have the SEC case unresolved. I have no problem with that. Look, that's going to do it for me. Not financial advice from me or Coins Kid or anyone else. And shout out to BitBoy. Please reach out to John Deaton. I really do hope that you do that. I do like your channel. I am a fan, but I hope that you reach out to John Deaton so we can get everybody informed and on the same page collectively. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch all of you on the next one.